Welcome to the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller. Brought to you by GrowthExpertz. You are in store for a chat about funding, marketing, startups, and all things growth.
Okay, everybody, thanks so much for coming back to the Funded Now What podcast, where I share unique insights from incredible leaders on fundraising, but also give you some marketing advice as well. We're in for a treat today. I've been doing this show for a while. I often get first-time founders, so I'm able to give a ton of marketing advice, but they might not be as well versed in fundraising. But today we're in for a treat because we've got someone who's even older than me, been in the game even longer than me, and is an OG. Matt Cooley, before founding the company that I'm going to talk about in a second, was at Mixpanel, Salesforce, Quip, New Relic, many, many other huge companies. So I think this guy is a fountain of knowledge, more than anyone we've ever had. And why we've got him on the show now, he just raised $16 million for Bounti, which is an AI tool revolutionizing outreach, which is something extremely near and dear to my heart. If outreach is not important to you, then you have not reached your full potential in life yet, because you can use it to find personal life things. I actually met my life partner through being really good at cold outreach, for hiring, recruitment, job searching yourself. Everything is outreach at the end of the day, besides even just getting leads. So we're going to hear all about Bounti and how it's changing the game. Matt Cooley, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. And I'll explain the cowboy hat really quick to you as my job. I needed to wear it, so you got to take orders from your boss, right? So
yeah, your daughter is your boss.
It's Halloween. Let's go with it.
It is Halloween. I didn't even think about it. So I am dressing up today as Vin Diesel, if you can't tell.
Look, I like that.
I get that. That's my forever costume. So, Vin, if you're listening to this, please answer my DMs. I'm trying to get paid to show up as you somewhere, but
stop being a creep over there, buddy. All right.
Yeah. Well, before we started recording, me and Matt were vibing actually on how unique. You can be super successful in San Francisco and really not give a shit what other people think. And Matt's all tatted up. I've got a couple, not to where his level is. So you just, someone as huge and as successful as Matt, it's really interesting to hear that, he still does things his way. And that's something I really love about the city here. But Matt, give us a little intro to you. I mean, you've had so many different backgrounds and roles. How do you introduce yourself these days?
Yeah, I didn't even know anymore. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I really I grew up, really came from nothing, right? I worked my way up, got to college through sports, and that's probably the only way I was going to college, to be honest with you. And lived off of really nothing, went to school with a bunch of very privileged people, and graduated and just got after it. I was just like, I'm going to be better. I'm going to work harder, because I didn't, my heels were on the ledge, man. And I found something that I was very good at, and is a narrow thing, right? It's this product-led SMB mid-market up to the enterprise thing. And I'm just very operational in that way. I geek out on this stuff all the time. And if you look at the companies that I've worked for, they're all totally different. GoToMeeting was my first one. New Relic was application performance management. So video conferencing application, it doesn't matter what the product is. It's about the operation of like executing on and optimizing inbound leads, right?
Yeah.
And driving demand, obsessing over the funnel. This is what I do in my career. So I've worked for New Relic. We did the 0 to 120 million IPO while I was there. It was my first time. I was scared shitless. I was 29 years old, I think, when I took that job. And I was sitting around the table with, the whole Wiley team, which was Lou Cerny's first company. And they're all Dartmouth grads, right? And all worked together before, but they had never done SaaS, right? And so I come in and, this is the first failure I made. This is literally one of the best lessons I've ever learned. I came in thinking that I needed to be the expert, but they brought me in because I was an additive, to what they wanted to do. And Wiley was an on-premise, heavy install, expensive deploy.
Yeah.
And New Relic was the same thing as Wiley, only was self-serviceable. I said all these leads and they didn't know how to operationalize it. And so I remember this, and it's a great great learning experience for me that I take everywhere I go. My first board meeting, first of all, moved to San Francisco in 2010, lived in 600 square feet of apartment,
Yeah, as
had
we
my
do.
first child. Nobody was sleeping. And I'm 28 years old and I'm taking this job to run global sales for New Relic.
Oh my
It was a
gosh.
small company, but I was scared, right? And so I'm sitting in this first board meeting. And I remember it's like Peter Fenton sitting around the table. They've been very prominent people that I didn't know who
Mhm.
they were at first. And I remember getting a question that I felt like I needed to answer because I was the head of sales.
Mm.
I remember just giving this answer that was like roundabout, red face, didn't know how to articulate what the fuck I was saying. And I felt so embarrassed in that moment. I'm like, oh my God. I left the meeting. I'm like, I'm going to get fired. And Lou comes over to my desk and he says, "Hey, Matt, how do you think that board meeting went?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it went good." I'm still trying to hold my own
Yeah.
because
You
I'm the
you
expert.
to
They
be.
brought me in to do this, and that's never what they thought. They just brought me in to help execute.
Yeah.
And he said something to me that always stuck with me, which is, you know what I love about our team is that nobody has to over represent their understanding of anything. We have full trust, and it was the nicest way of saying you fucked up, but it's okay. And
He's
I
like, "I still know you got it."
Yeah, I know you got it. And like it was a bit, and Lou's on our board now, right? Like I love Lou to death.
Wow.
Joined the board of Bounty. He's been a mentor and a friend of mine for a long, long time. And that changed my perspective on things.
Mhm.
It really did. And I believe the way I got to where I am right now is by having great mentors that allow me autonomy to fail, learn, but never make the same mistake twice. And
Yeah.
what I started doing, because again, you think about like your heels are on the edge, you've got one opportunity and it's you, right? And you don't
Mhm.
have money to fall back on. I'm not from the Bay. I'm not, I don't want to say spoon fed, but like I don't have a trust fund, right?
Yeah. You
And
gotta make it
I
work.
had to make it on my own. And so what I started doing was really writing down the mistakes I made, the feedback I got, and then I developed the ability to articulate my
Mm.
mistakes and my understanding of it. And there are a lot of people out there that know what they want to say. They know what they're doing, but they don't know how to say it,
Mm.
right? And that was one thing I learned quickly at New Relic, and that transferred all the way through the rest of my career. It's just like it's okay to make mistakes, but don't make them twice. But understand why you made them and be able to articulate why you made them. It's a
Of
huge thing.
course. That's the only way to avoid doing it again. If you just blame another person, it was that person's fuck up. I didn't do anything wrong. Then you're just going to keep doing the same cycle. So you got to analyze yourself. I love the idea of journaling it down and writing it down and being honest with yourself too. That's great feedback.
It's like writing a speech, right? You write it, you write it, you write it, you write it, you don't
Yeah.
need it anymore. And I always say this to my teams is there are three answers you can give me. One's terrible, which I've done. The best one is the right answer with data, experience, and a strong position. The second close best answer is I don't know, but I'll figure it out. The worst answer is my red convoluted face like answer.
Yeah.
Well, it's first board meeting, man. I'll be honest with you, and I don't tolerate that in my meetings anymore. It's like don't give me narrative, give me
Yeah.
data and experience oriented like answers, or tell me you don't know. And those two answers are
And go figure it out. Yeah.
amazing for me. Some
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll figure it out is better than the right answer.
Of
You know
course.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, because the right answer, you don't have it yet, so you'd be bullshitting if you don't tell me honestly. Love that. And that's great insight. And like analyzing yourself, it's just data. You can give yourself data and feedback and give yourself a chance to get better at it. So that's awesome. You know, you've done all these things. Why even start another company? Why Bounty? All the millions of different use cases for AI right now. Why outreach and stuff? Like why is this the important next step for Matt Cooley?
Well, why do another company is because I can't stop.
Yeah.
I tried to stop, and that lasted about 6 months. And I'm like, what am I do with myself?
Yeah.
I tried to pick up golf. I'm terrible at that, so I'm just like, I'll just go back to what I love. For me, like Bounty is right in my wheelhouse, right? And I won't name the name of the company, but there was a company I joined that when I joined, they had 45 BDRs. Okay.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like, this is about a $20 million company. And I'm like, that math doesn't really work. And when I started to dig into their days, it's like they're not doing anything. They're loading up a bunch of cadences and outreach, and they're just sending them and gift carding and waiting for people to come back. And it was the biggest overhead in the company, but it was necessary based on the business model they had created before I joined. I'm like, well, what are they doing all day? Nothing. And the reason why they were doing nothing is because for them to get up in the morning and now work from home, by the way, and try to create something that is actually going to resonate with someone to get like a
Yeah.
response that's qualified
Mhm.
would take them forever, and it would suck anyway because they're right out of college, they're not experienced, and it's not like they're just not smart, they're just not sitting around people in an office learning anymore.
Mm.
And so the world had become just this blasting of emails and hoping and
Yeah.
praying that people will take a gift card to come to a meeting that's not qualified. And then the meeting, it's the laws of averages. It goes all the way down the funnel of these things suck,
Yeah.
right?
They do.
And so it's not that they didn't want to do the work. It's only that like if they did the work that we can do in like minutes, seconds, it would
It
have
would
taken
take.
them all day to get like 5 of these
Yeah.
out, and they would have been shitty.
Yeah. And they're thinking of quantity over quality a lot. Like we
They
spray
had
out.
to, but
Yeah.
they
We
had
spray
to.
and pray. Yeah.
They had to because they were asked to do the most strategic outreach in the sales organization with the least experience and now working from home and having no guidance. Right. And so that was the first thing. I can take you all the way down the customer journey of how many things are broken with human error,
No, I'm a part of it.
craziness,
Outreach is a big part of my business. And when we join or when we start working with clients, they're often like, oh, no, we already tried LinkedIn outreach, Andrew, doesn't work. And then it's exactly what you said. The messaging is just god awful. And I think that's a big part of it. I'm skeptical of tools that promise a lot of the stuff that Bounty is telling you. So let's get right to it. Like, what makes
Yeah.
this company unique versus other players in the space from an
Yeah.
outreach perspective? I'm an outreach professional. I'm gonna try the tool. We'll put in the show notes some kind of link to get a free trial. I know you already do a free trial, so we got to get something special for my listeners, but I want to use it also. But tell me why I should use Bounty. I mean, obviously the proof is in the pudding. You can't raise $16 million without happy users already. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you've got some users. Like tell me what I need to know. What does someone need to know about Bounty?
I think fully automated outreach is bullshit.
Hmm.
Like it's not happening. There's human in
Yeah.
the loop. Like we have humans in the loop. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we do. We've got a team
Nice.
of about 30 people in Pakistan that are
Nice.
brilliant. They're
Awesome.
brilliant. They've been with us from the beginning.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
they're tweaking and like making things more humanized. If you just put something into ChatGPT, it's going to sound like a robot.
Exactly.
It doesn't work like that. And honestly, what we do is it's not working. If you want us to send emails on your behalf without you asking us, we will.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, me either.
And that's why we give them like this wealth of knowledge around the prospect and the company they're trying to sell to. Like the email that goes out is a feature of what we do. We're enabling these individuals to be better salespeople by giving them all of the value drivers at the buyer persona based on what they're selling and the company's objectives. Like that's the thing, right? And
Mm,
there's a whole bunch of ways to enable them and then also engage them. And email is just one thing.
hmm.
So creating that email before it even goes out, they get a chance to look at it and say, yes, no. But what we're doing is we're taking out the 95% of the work.
On the research.
Yeah. And then we're giving them the 5% of time to make the judgment call.
Got it.
But nobody
Nice.
should send anything without looking at it,
No, 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 no
you
doubt. Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
and we've got this feature coming out where you can talk to the email and say, hey, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, and it changes it. It
Wow.
humanizes it. You can pull in what you want to from your wiki or whatever it is, like your messaging, you can pull it in. And
Nice.
and that algorithm just keeps working for you. It gets smarter, right?
Nice.
But no,
Cool.
nobody should be sending emails without looking at them. There's these companies
100%.
that say
Yeah. And when
automated. That's bullshit, man.
it is bullshit. I mean, I have perfected automated outreach. It does work at scale, but you don't just throw up random emails. For me, I always have interns or clients or whoever I'm working with always start with organic outreach change out your call to actions, change out, the body text, greeting is always just hey or hi. I'm never throwing hello or dear, any of that bullshit. But then as things start to work organically, that's when we start to like just add automation to just hit a scale that we can't get human wise. But so what I'm hearing is Bounti helps figure out what to say and who to say it to where the targeting is really right. And I think that's definitely a gap. And like you said, the research takes a long time. And, when I train like interns on outreach and stuff, it's hard for people. Like, even clients that I've had that have incredible services and they just don't want to do the outreach. And so like you do need some kind of tool that removes the time. People don't love it. I mean, us on the call here, we love outreach. Obviously, it's our blood. For me, it's everything I've ever gotten in my entire career is from being good at outreach. And obviously similar for you as well. But most people hate it. And so I think Bounty is making it simpler, and that's why you're able to raise so much money, because it's as valuable as SEO. You need the inbound, you need people finding you at the right time. So it's literally that value, but it takes a lot of time for SEO to work. So in the meantime, you can kickstart some really solid outreach and start generating interest, revenue, clients, conversations, getting product feedback. So it's an absolute game changer. So love that.
Well,
So go ahead.
So you nailed something right there. I want to stop on, right?
Sure.
Because the reason why people do outreach like with humans is because they're going after a deal size that warrants the resources you're putting against it.
Right.
And SEO works because you're spending $1 that gets a lot of volume that could be smaller. You're addressing the long tail, which
Right.
pays back, right? With fewer humans.
Mhm.
And sometimes you get a diamond in the rough that becomes a larger customer. But you now have like this SEO approach to outbounding and outreach that's inexpensive, that gets you volume of quality,
Right.
right? It's almost like you can do both now.
Absolutely.
And it's been really hard for companies to do both. Like it just has. It's been expensive, and it doesn't have to be expensive anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
$299 a month on Bounty's website, apparently.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's how, like, I'm telling you, this breaks. There's a reason why every annual plan I've ever been a part of, you plan for productivity to decline because it's more people, more problems, more human error, and you just got to plan for it. It's just going to happen, right?
Right.
What if it didn't have to happen? Think about how much more growth trajectory is in your company without having to deal with the time spent not talking to customers. There's too much preparing to talk to customers versus talking to customers.
Yeah.
And so I just love the idea of eliminating all that.
Yeah, me too. So let's talk about the fundraising. I mean, I think this is the largest round of any guest that I've had on the podcast. We normally focus on like seed and pre-seed companies that are raising, like 1 to 10. $16 million raised. One question is, where is that going to go? Because, if you've got outreach down to a science inside your product, how do you need a lot of money for marketing when you can just use dog food your own tool? Second thing is, walk me through how hard or easy it was. I mean, it's not easy to raise money right now. People are pretty tight. You have an exceptional background, so do your co-founders, but, give us some insight into those two things. Start with either way you want, but how'd you raise the money and what are you going to do with it?
Yeah. So I want to be respectful. It was easy. It was pretty easy, to be honest with
Okay,
you.
fair.
Before I even joined, we had a 45-minute meeting with Google Ventures, and we love them. They're awesome. They're huge supporters. They believed in the cause, and we took $3 million out of that.
Amazing.
I've been doing this for a long time. Got a lot of relationships around the Valley, and
Exactly.
from there, like luck begets luck, right? But we've got a great team that's done this before, that knows the shortcuts, knows what to do now, not do later. Like we're talking about the levels of fundraising. I can tell you what we need now, what we need next year, and what we need to be doing now to prepare for next year. And like seeing around those corners is a huge advantage, and having people that you trust and have worked with before that can execute without you even have to think about it is a big advantage. And so that was easy, right? And then after that, like, just getting people to pile on, we started to close customers, and this was even before we had the product on the website. We were just doing, it was hand-to-hand combat, sticks and
Love
stuff.
that.
going through our network and we're closing big customers. And, I think we went from, started selling in February, end of February, early March. And in like 2 months, we had 250K in ARR already.
Amazing.
No marketing spend, not even a marketer, just one sales rep. And
Wow.
so it obviously resonates with the people, right? And then like the thing I worry about in those situations is how do you retain it, right?
Exactly.
And the product has to do more work there. So the product has moved very quickly. We've hired great VP of engineering, and those are the things I worry about. It's like I don't care how much money's coming through the front door. If we've got a leaky bucket,
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter, right? So we're constantly focused on delighting our customers
That's awesome.
ongoing through product and not
Hmm.
people, because people only go so far, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it gets expensive when you have to have more people to delight customers. So we do focus a lot on the product experience there.
So, okay, but for someone who it's not as easy to do fundraising, you've been a part of other fundraising experiences as well. Like, what's your first piece of advice for someone? Let's say first time founder, they don't have the pedigree that you have. They don't have the relationship with Google Ventures where a 45-minute call turns
Yeah.
into $3 million. The average, I'm not even going to ask you because of the answer to the Google Ventures thing, but I ask everybody how many calls it took to get your first check, and people are often like 80 to 100 calls, so
Yeah.
imagine you're talking to an audience of those kind of people. What is the best piece of advice that you can give off the cuff? I did not prep him with these questions even though his team asked me to.
Yeah. No, it's
What's
good.
your best piece of advice, cowboy?
Go get an advisor.
Go get an advisor. DM Matt Cooley.
Seriously, go
Do
get an
cold outreach to
advisor.
Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, here's my phone number. But I'm telling you, like, go get someone that can help you understand your next move, right? And this is where when I advise companies, what happens is first time founders, especially when they're product oriented and not go to market oriented, they don't know their first move. And
Mhm.
so like they almost immediately put them in a CAC deficit situation
Right.
by overhiring to think that, oh, headcount's going to happen. No, right? Like how do you responsibly plan for your next step is where they get stuck.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
one thing that's keeping them up at night, right?
yeah.
Go get somebody that's done it before that can help you with the next step. Give
Love
them
that.
some shares, whatever it is, like it's worth
Yeah. Get their
because
skin in the game. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and that's where
amazing.
Bounty sits right now. It's like hire one sales rep and then use
Use
Bounty,
Bounty. Yeah.
right? Like don't it's $10,000 a month for a BDR all in, right?
Yep.
And they're probably only going to be 70% as efficient as you think they're going to be. And they're only going to stay for a year unless they get promoted. And that's the average tenure of a BDR. Well,
Yep.
Bounties, $299 a month. If you want more, it's a little bit more, but like we're not going anywhere. We're not
It's not
showing,
gonna quit. Yeah, it's not
not
gonna
showing
take a
up hungover
vacation.
on Monday morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just,
You might be, but the software isn't. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just
It
kidding.
doesn't matter
No,
though.
that's excellent advice. Actually, I've grown my businesses through VC relationships, and I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Darren, one of my favorite VCs I work with, always says, Andrew's seen this movie before, and so get people in your corner who've seen this movie before. And
Yeah.
if I was trying to promote myself, I'd go to a commercial break right now that would talk about growth experts because that's exactly what we do is, you know, try to assist founders who are engineering and product focused because they make all the same mistakes over and over again related to growth and marketing. And, it's either running a ton of paid ads, making horrible early hires because they think they need these big logos to impress investors. And the big logo person is not used to rolling up their sleeves and working 12 hours a day at an early stage startup. So that's almost always a bad hire that can cost, 250, 300K minus the morale destruction of the rest of the small team. So that's great advice. Get an advisor. Don't try and go at it your own. Um,
Here's one other thing I would say that's very important. It's
okay.
philosophically when you think about building a business. Do you want to be $100 million company with 100 customers, or do you want to be $100 million company with 10,000 customers?
Mm,
And everything culturally, everything, the people you hire, everything falls out of that. right? Your average sales price needs to be a certain thing. The types of
Mhm.
people that drive those average deal sizes need to be a certain type of person. That's a whole cultural difference between, do we want to be a flywheel of like instant value, aha moments through the product experience that people can buy on their own? Like those two things, that's the first decision you need to make as a company.
Wow.
And if you don't know that, then
Then
I
you're
can't
not,
help you.
yeah, you can't manifest it if you don't know it. You can't make
Cannot
it
do
happen.
both.
Yeah.
You cannot go after the enterprise and go after the long tail at the same time. Those companies fail.
No, I agree. And I always say, to simplify that, go after the smaller companies first, get beat up by the smaller companies because, and I agree with you. A lot of companies that just try to go enterprise right out the gate take 2 year sales cycle and you don't get any revenue in and then you die. But you need some of those LOIs, some of those early conversations to delight and interest investors, which should be a small percentage of your time because they're going to waste a lot of time. I'm not going to name any names, but I have a friend in the navigation space that's been talking to Google and Uber for 2 years. And I'm literally scared for him because they're just wasting his time until they're trying to build something internally themselves. But it's like lighting a fire under the morale of the team, like, oh my God, Google's so interested. And I just keep trying to tell him, dude, go talk to 20x smaller customers that might be able to move forwards quicker. And yeah, so that's genius advice from an OG who's been doing it a long time. And cool. Well, I think, it was easy to raise the money if you've got the career that Matt has, but if not, then go find an advisor like Matt. That's excellent feedback. That's awesome. But how's marketing going for this? It sounds like you guys did the hand-to-hand combat for a while. Now Bounty's, you're probably dog fooding it. Bounty's driving customer acquisition for you, I would imagine. If not, don't admit that now on the call. But what else are you guys doing with the 16 mil besides hiring, like from a growth perspective? Conferences, are you getting, thought leadership? Are you the face of the company? You're the guy that's going to go out there and speak at conferences and stuff about how AI is revolutionizing outreach or what?
No, you don't want me doing that, man. That's
I
Usher.
do,
Hey,
but
hey, that's Usher. I'll come out and be a little controversial and talk about go to market and how fucked up everything is. But Usher is the one to talk
that's
about the
good.
AI.
Hey man, this is a great pivot point for me to create some value for you guys, Osher, you, whoever. One of the biggest successes I've ever had as a marketer was with a founder who was down to be that controversial person. We were in the email privacy space. It was an email discovery tool. It is. I can name the name. It's now retention.com doing like, I don't know, 25 mil ARR. GrowthExpertz, my company, launched them in 2019. And the founder, I had this idea like, why don't you be the antithesis of the privacy space, like discussion? We were all scared. And we did ads with a stack of papers like this. He's like, you think you have privacy? This is what Google has on you if you use Google Maps, just Google Maps. So
Yeah.
like there is no privacy anymore at all. And it's all an illusion because companies are trying to just, not destroy their stock price and impress shareholders, but you don't have any privacy. And I got him speaking gigs. We got him in Forbes. We got, I can't remember a lot of the publications off the top of my list, tons of podcast interviews, but even the Facebook ads, acquire at the time, not anymore. We would do LinkedIn or whatever, but acquiring customers because, and so I think it is good it does suck. I am a customer. I'm trying millions of tools at any given time, from Phantom Buster, Persist IQ, Conversify. I can name like a dozen different tools that have said they're going to revolutionize outreach. And shout out to reply.io. I still use them and do like them. They have a bunch of unique features. If you guys haven't looked at them, you should.
Yeah, we can check them out.
Yeah, you should check them out. They're and I've written about them in my book and all kinds of stuff. So they're homies. They have a unique tool that I think you guys would be interested in. It shows a green to red rating based on spam words, readability, length of your subject, all this different stuff that subconsciously trains that human, that one BDR that you're talking about hiring, to become an excellent writer in and of themselves. And even me, after 20 years of doing this, I'm still surprised on new words that become spam words. For instance, this year, the word marketing became a spam word. So me and my team can never say that we do marketing in our outreach at
We'll
all,
just
which,
spell it differently. Yeah.
yeah, like MKTG or something. Yeah, I didn't think
A
about
great
that.
name for a company, by the way.
That's a good workaround. But my point is that's we're always looking for unique tools. So that's awesome. But I want to talk about ways that I can help you guys with some marketing insights. So walk me through, what you guys are doing to grow the company right now, if you know off the top of your head.
Yeah, we obviously use our own product,
Of
right?
course,
Our business model is not outbound though, right? We are going to be like obsessive over the inbound funnel,
for
right?
sure.
Keywords. We try everything. We're actually like I asked my head of marketing today, demand gen, to try Instagram. First of all, I like to get out of like the software norms, right?
I
And
can
so
tell.
when we talked about our brand, I'm like, fuck it, guys, go. The people we're trying to sell to, what are they conditioned to look at, right? They all want Amex Black cards, right? They all want Ferraris. They all want XYZ. Like the people that we're selling to, they're salespeople, right? It's the kid that wakes up in the morning and it's looking at the Lamborghini on the poster on his wall going, I want that someday, right? Those are the personalities for the most part that we're selling to. So go steal from them.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the philosophy I have is there is companies that have spent billions of dollars to create like to drive eyeballs of the people that we want to sell to their
Yeah.
platform.
Look what they did. Just come
Go
up with
troll their marketing,
absolutely.
go troll their dollars. And so we're trying to do things differently. And I'm personally like, I'll admit, TikTok fan. And I'm also to go back to I'm a conspiracy
I I gotta
guy.
interrupt
I would be
you. I
honest with
gotta
you.
interrupt you. If you're a TikTok fan, dude, your logo looks like the TikTok logo.
Well, I
Has
didn't.
anyone
I did
told you
not do
that?
that. I did not
Okay.
do that. It was not intentional.
It's great. It's amazing. It looks awesome.
But
Sorry, go
like,
ahead.
why recreate the wheel that has driven people's attention? Go
Yeah.
just go troll their campaigns, right?
Yeah. No,
There's
you're totally right.
competition. I don't give a shit about our competition. Like, they're nothing.
No,
Like, we're gonna outpace them by
absolutely.
outmaking them. And I think that's the best way to do it is never get caught up in what your competitors are doing. Just do something different.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a
I think differently in that way, man. But
no, that's awesome. And that shows because you're close with Google. There's a quote from back in the day from one of the founders of Google. Someone was asking him, "Aren't you worried about what like Bing is doing?" He was like, "No. If we were worried about what they were doing, we wouldn't be Google. We wouldn't be innovating. They're worried about what we're doing. We're going to keep focusing on what we're doing. Let
yeah,
them worry about us. We don't look at our competition. If you do, then you're not innovating if you're just copying them. But to go back to the inbound stuff, I think that's where we can focus the rest of the call. I can give you a ton of insight for your demand gen
yeah,
team, your marketer
yeah.
to listen because, I have also studied a lot of those other playbooks and been a part of some successful companies. And, the number one that you guys should really think about from an inbound perspective that's crushed it for decades is HubSpot. And they just come up for everything. One thing they've done is releasing free tools. It's called engineering as marketing, releasing free tools that people will use, like your customers would use, like a signature creator, little things like that, a solid person on your team can bust out in a weekend. They get insane SEO rankings and it drives a ton of inbound stuff. The same thing with like content, just now, this past week, some of my clients are starting to get leads through Chat GPT, like on the lead source. Like, how'd you hear about it? People are writing Chat GPT? ChatGPT is recommending companies because of the SEO work and the content work that you're doing. If there's a lot of content out there, then ChatGPT is going to grab that and recommend you. And then I don't know if you saw, ChatGPT launched search like while we were getting ready for this meeting.
Yeah.
So it's a new search engine. And so with the content stuff, I think the easiest thing to do is just bust out listicles on like the things that your target demographic would search. If you're selling to salespeople, top AI tools for salespeople, and you obviously make Bounti number one, but then the 2 through 10 or whatever are non-competitive, maybe even a little bit competitive because then it becomes unbiased and Google's likely to rank it more articles. So those you can come up with 30 of those kinds of listicles and bust those out. And then, they need a consistent SEO push, you make sure that the site is it's got a little animation on there. I didn't do an SEO audit beforehand, but you want to make sure that the site is SEO friendly, or at least the blog side of the site. And those are going to take, 60 to 90 days, but they're just going to start churning inbound for you forever. So I think the content stuff is really good for inbound. And I wanted to talk to you
Can we
about,
pause on that really
yeah,
quick? Because
sure.
I
Yes.
think there's two things you said in there that are awesome. right? The chat GPT thing is basically like Gartner for everyone else. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Who wants to
Yeah.
play the Gartner game anymore? Pay to
I
play.
still have a client. I still have a client paying them in the telecom space, but only when you're hyper specific.
Well,
But
but you don't go to Gartner when you're serving the long tail, right?
no,
Like,
no,
but chat GPT, this thing you're talking about, can be the Gartner for the long tail.
for everybody else
Yeah,
that doesn't want to
it's
pay
fucking
4K a
awesome.
month. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. And then the HubSpot thing, I'll make it short. Mark Roberge and I, HubSpot and New Relic started kind of at the same time. We
Yeah.
didn't compete, but we had mutual interests just
Nice.
in terms of investment. And
Hmm.
I've known him for a long time. Smart, smart, smart dude. I'm an LP in his new fund, Stage Two.
Oh,
They're
nice.
in Bounti.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
we created a Chrome extension for HubSpot. So like now Bounty lives inside HubSpot.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty sweet, man.
Holy
And,
shit.
and we're making, we're developing Chrome extensions for outreach and all the others. But like you go into HubSpot's UI and you've got all the Bounty contacts and all the value drivers and everything that we've created for you. It's right there.
Wow.
And it's super slick. So we do absolutely associate ourselves with HubSpot.
HubSpot. That's
That's our
awesome,
buyer.
man.
That's our
Oh,
buyer.
that's who you
Salesforce is
troll.
going to have to be a thing,
That's
but
our buyer. He said it
HubSpot's my
outright.
vibe, dude. That
I'll edit that part out. I'll edit that part out. No, they might be listening. No, but that's awesome to have like, who will need you. But it makes sense. Like they're never going to be able to do that on their own. And if you get that humanized, that research, that time-saving aspect, I mean, that's a massive feature that's going to take someone from a free customer to a paid customer in HubSpot, or from a 1999 to a $299 account.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the ROI is obvious for them. Yeah, let me know when you're raising your next round. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, no,
But
totally. Look, I mean, the idea is that we want to live where people work. We don't want to be a new UI. We want to
exactly.
be the plumbing, you
Love
know?
that.
I would love that nobody knew who we were.
Oh, yeah, dude, because the B2C aspects, man, from a marketing point of view, much harder to get the brand. I mean, you've got a great brand, but to get it out there and get, content, events, SEO, all that, social media, you're telling your demand person to focus on IG. That's another thing we could talk about at the last bit there. Yeah, let's talk about that actually. But
I do want to get you connected with Garrett, though. I'm sure you talked to Garrett
for sure.
about the Chat GPT angle because that's
Yeah.
something I hadn't heard of. And man, if we
Yeah.
accommodate that, like that would
Yeah, I mean, well, they just launched a search engine today, so it's going to be the Wild Wild West. But the I've had two clients now that have been like, Andrew, we're getting leads from ChatGPT. What do we do? I'm like, we keep doing SEO focused content. That's all it is. I mean, SEO in and of itself, if you come up, I mean, it's the same way humans naturally think, oh, if Google's ranking them, they must be the number one company I should work with. We
right.
subconsciously, about 75 to 80% of the time, click on one of the first three organic rankings because we believe that that must be validated by Google. This ChatGPT is doing the same thing. So we want to organically make the company come up, which is not an easy hackable thing. We do it through legitimate, technical analysis of the website and also artistic writing of the content of the website with the keyword density. And there's some research behind that. So many people have come out with AI tools, but we put the time in and really do it blood, sweat, and tears, and we always win. I myself, if you search founder retreats, my retreat is the number one thing that comes up worldwide on Google. I don't really do a lot of SEO for GrowthExpertz and Andrew Startups, my website, because we like outreach. We like
Yeah.
outreach. We're not for the masses. We are for specific founders who are raising money that are engineering and product focused, like we talked about. Those are the people I like to create value for. So I don't want a bunch of randoms to find me all the time, but the proof is in the pudding. Like,
Yeah.
when we did that, we had a lot of noise from people that didn't have budgets and, whatever. And so it was fun. I wrote a book for all those people, help them that way. You can grow your business by buying the book for $20 and you never need a budget for anything. But they can find the book. Anyway,
Well,
so
remember the three answers I told you that exist. You just gave the best one, which
there,
is very credible, data driven. We got to talk. Let's definitely talk about it.
awesome. Yeah, I would love that. Well, this is definitely not a lead gen strategy. I would just, thought it'd be awesome to get a dude that's even older and more OG than me on the podcast. But so that's the Chat GPT stuff. quickly, I just want to talk a little bit about social media. And, B2B SaaS companies fuck up a lot in social media because, they're like, why do we need to do this? We don't need to do this. Like, we get our customers through outbound, through SEO, through BDRs, calling and whatever. But your customers are still regular people. They're going to go to their favorite social media channel. Matt just literally said he's a huge boss in the industry, still looking at TikTok. So if you saw a company was doing anything on TikTok, you'd be like, wow, that's a really cool company. So there's this slight necessity for validating the business. We're active, we show we're posting stuff, but ChatGPT and Google are not telling us how much they are looking at social media. There was Matt Cutts was a guy at Google, like the god of SEO for 20 years, as long as we've been around too. And he made it clear that social media is becoming more and more important part of their algorithm, but they never really say it as much. But I know from doing SEO, we see the more active we get on every social media channel, the more likely we are to beat our competitors. I have a client in the telecom space that is now ranked next to Splunk. They're not even spending 200K a year on marketing, and we're ranked right next to Splunk, which is like, HubSpot level $100 billion company or whatever. And that's because they're like, we're Splunk, we're famous, we don't need to do SEO. You know what I mean? They spend money on conferences and putting out reports, and we're also doing that. But you're
No,
able
you're
to
an
get
old
this.
dinosaur is what you are. Splunk.
Yeah, exactly. But you're
Come
able to
on.
get this small player next
Yeah.
to this big behemoth, and then all of a sudden you're in part of those conversations. So SEO is super important, and it's something you can do alongside your outreach. But so with the social media stuff, what we do is we just create a social media strategy that makes it really easy and executable for the team. That means like at least 20% needs to be how Bounty works, and that it's not IG specific. We're using like a scheduling tool like Hootsuite, Buffer, a bunch of them that are out later.com. There's socialpro.io, whatever the fuck they're called. But we just schedule posts and post it everywhere. Really, for this kind of business, it's Twitter and LinkedIn. Those are the most important things. So you tell your person to focus on IG, then they're going to be like, oh, do we make a separate strategy? Tell them Andrew said no. We just stick with one set strategy, disseminate the content on every channel, and then start to see where the activity is, right? And it's not low bullshit metrics like followers and likes. It's actual conversations. Are people actually clicking links and signing up and driving acquisition through any of these channels? If not, then let's just keep posting and forgetting about
Yeah.
social media because it's sending those good signals to all those other important platforms. And that's really where the intent is. Your big, huge potential lead is going to come from ChatGPT and Google and other search tools, not really from a random employee seeing it on Instagram, but it's still good to send those signals. So that social media strategy is 20% how the tool works, maybe 25 or so percent scary stats on like how much money is wasted on outreach, how much time is wasted. You started the call saying, something like 95% of the time goes into the research, so I could see a picture or someone like, frustrated, like, why your salespeople aren't selling is because they're spending 95% of the time researching what to say. Bounty takes that away and whatever. And so there's your data, your statistical like stats, facts, content is so easy. You can go to ChatGPT and say, tell me 100 stats about SDRs and sales and business development reps and why they suck. And then boom, there you go. You've got a ton of stuff. So you make an easy strategy that's like, it's selling, but it's not selling. It's actually using scare tactics to get people to be like, oh shit, my company's going to fail. We talked about how companies fail at doing that. And that's going to scare a CEO into being like, hey, team, check this tool out. Right. And that's where some acquisition is going to be. So create a super simple strategy, post the shit everywhere. The hashtags are the most important thing there for like people who aren't following you to discover it. So hashtag BDR, hashtag sales, hashtag founder, hashtag CEO, whatever industries you're trying to focus on. And then you just set and forget. And what companies don't realize is like, we'll do, when we're big enough, we'll get a social media manager. Obviously, you guys have plenty of money, but it's not going to have higher ROI to hire a full-time social media manager. Do you already have one? No.
No, we don't. We don't.
Yeah.
I just this morning told Garrett, I'm like, I've said it over and over. And he's like, yeah, he waffles on. I'm like, try it. Because why do people go to social media? They want to check out, they want to scroll, what if you scroll through and said, hey, continue to scroll because we got you. Bounty's got you.
I
Like
love that.
easy, right? Like it's
Yeah.
easy. And it's just like, wow, I can sleep in another hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You know
you
what I
can
mean?
stay on
Like,
social media while Bounty's still working for you.
I'm not starting work on Sunday night. I can show up hungover on Monday, which is just the truth. You know,
Yeah,
it's just the truth. I
yeah.
mean, I've been doing it long enough to see my sales teams on Monday. I'm like, I know today not to talk to them. You know, like,
Yeah,
so
it's a very extroverted person role. Um,
yeah,
yeah, you can throw all that spaghetti at the wall organically, and then if you see engagement, then it works its way up into ads, right? You don't
right,
just blow 20K on testing
right.
an ad or whatever. And so I think that's what you use social media for. But what people don't realize is that's what tells Google and that's what tells ChatGPT that you're a company worth recommending. You can't fake the long-term social media stuff. So it's a
Um,
validating thing in Google's eyes. We already went over time, but last thing I want to tell you, I got to rep my dude. I'm sure you know corporate bro. You know the LinkedIn influencer guy, corporate bro. No, the sales guy that makes all the funny videos. Oh, you need to work with him. I'll reach out. I'll get a commission from him or something on connecting you.
yeah, all
So
right.
there's this huge LinkedIn sales influencer named Corporate Bro. And hundreds of thousands of followers. He's putting out amazing, funny videos, but only speaking to the salespeople. Like he is super well known. You guys need to work with him. And I mean, he's in high demand now, but anybody targeting salespeople, I mean, he makes like meme videos roasting salespeople. Like you would love it, dude. You would love it. The stuff about coming in hungover, shit salespeople say. He does shit marketing people say. You guys got to work with him. I think if you work with him to create some, especially because of you're not like the stereotypical owner founder of a B2B SaaS company, you'll really like
Well,
his
what do you
style.
mean? What do you mean by that?
I
Cowboy
mean
hat
that you're
is what
willing
it
to
is.
take risks. You're willing
Yeah,
to say fuck on a podcast. You're
yeah.
willing to, wear your t-shirt into $1 billion meeting and show the tats and stuff. And I love that because that's not what's important for a business like this. The numbers should speak for themselves. And this dude in your ads would absolutely murder, like literally. So I will send you some links after to check him out. But yeah, so I think talk to that guy for your ads and your social media. Like just make him, you don't want to be the face of the company, make him one of the faces of the company because he is really well known by BDRs and salespeople in our industry. So yeah, focus on some social media, focus on SEO and content. And I think, the rest Bounty will take care of, my dude.
Well, let's work together, man.
Well,
This has been
definitely.
fun. This has been fun. I love it. Obviously, can see who I am, man. Let's go have fun with it.
Absolutely. Well, congrats on your success. Thank you for sharing the insight and happy Halloween, man. Thanks for
All
coming
right.
by.
All right, man. Thanks, bud.
That has been another episode of the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller. Brought to you by GrowthExpertz. If you liked the episode, please subscribe. And if you really liked it, please share with other founders and entrepreneurs. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.